And good morning to you. As always, it's an utmost pleasure having you with us here, coming to you live from the studios of the Government Information Service National Television Network, the GIS NTN. I'm Lucia Joseph alongside Homer DeMark. It is Tuesday, March 2nd, and we do have a fantabulous program in store for you. Homer, how was that night?
It was good, Lisa, and I'm sure yours is probably good too, but it's Wednesday.
Yeah, it's right. It's Wednesday.
Yes. We're happy to be progressing through the week.
Oh my. It gets me every time.
That's what we're here for, to catch each other.
But wait. Just wait. It's now Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. You know
Midweek.
what did that to you? The change from February to March. I think it's always a confusing one. So yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I mean, thank you for acknowledging and be very gentle, with me. I have to count on Homer. She knows how to just, give me a good little pat. It's okay.
You see, that's
sort
what
of
you
thing.
do to me. So
yes.
Let's for the best.
But it only means, Homer, because I want to be able to savor at least the very first or so week of March, because I know that we're moving very quickly towards the celebration of International Women's Day.
That is true.
And I'd love to delay that a little bit longer, just so that you can just feel like you're building up to something. You want that crescendo. So that's what it is. So it's Wednesday, midweek. Good.
Midweek.
So bring us up to date on the latest with our national COVID situation.
Surely the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs yesterday confirmed a total of 18 new cases of COVID-19. Those samples were processed on Monday, the 28th of February, from a total of 274 samples, of which 214 samples were processed at the Israel Long Laboratory, and 60 samples were processed at Laboratory Services and Consultations Limited. These samples collected from the 26th of February to the 28th, and this number of positive cases makes up 6.57% of all the samples processed on that date. Confirmation was also received of the recovery of 66 individuals diagnosed with COVID-19, and this brings the number of active cases in country currently to 102. Currently, there are 14 positive cases of COVID-19 admitted at the respiratory hospital. 2 of them are critically ill and 2 of them are severely ill. If you are looking to be vaccinated today, the places that you would like to visit, that you should visit rather, are the various wellness centers to get your vaccination. And you could also check out the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. They do also post daily vaccination schedules as well, so you can check them out there. And vaccination is between the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah, and as always, as we encourage you to speak with your medical practitioner if you still have concerns about the vaccine, make sure you get information from credible sources in order for you to make an informed decision on getting vaccinated. Also, we now have available AstraZeneca and Pfizer, and as well as the Janssen one-shot vaccine. So we are now fully stocked when it comes to COVID-19 vaccines. So go ahead, make that decision, and protect yourself, your loved one, and the entire of St. Lucia. Now, Homer, I said we have a fantabulous program. Indeed, we're going to be speaking everything to do with beauty, the wellness, fashion, and we have with us the fashionista herself, Joyce Medrick. Once again, is back with us. Thank you, Joyce. I walked in and looked at Joyce, and I jaw dropped, and I just wow. You are statuesque beauty. I have to just say that off the bat. And that neck piece. I am all about statement pieces. And Joyce, as they'll say in the business, you brought it, Joyce.
Thank you, Lisa.
A little lightheartedness. We try to be a little lighthearted on this program.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. Good morning, Irma. I'm glad that you approve.
Absolutely.
Yes. Every so often I have to go into the vault, you know.
Yeah, to bring it out, I must say. Well,
Yes.
it's a 10.
Thank you. Good morning, universe. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Right, Joyce, you always so busy, always looking for the next opportunity and not necessarily for self. For all of the years that I've known you, we're going on 20 plus years now, Joyce has always been looking to find the diamonds in the rough in St. Lucia, whether it be for the beauty pageants, designers, hairstylists, models, and everything to do with the fashion beauty industry. Joyce has always been dedicated to bringing up young talent. And I was very proud that the Fashion Accelerator program turned out to be as successful as it was, Joyce, which was held quite recently. You were able to draw the support of the CDB on that. And that program, I believe, spoke volumes as to what is available out there for young people once we are able to identify their interest and find the avenues, to do that match and really cultivate their talents and so forth. So your own take on the success of the Fashion Accelerator program?
Oh, Lisa, as anything else, nothing comes easy. And I want to also acknowledge the support of the SSDF as well as the members of the St. Lucia Fashion Council for making it possible. Success for me with the Accelerator program is ongoing. I say that because at this point, the participants who graduated from the program, they're now undergoing the mentorship component of the package that was offered. So we had a total of 14 graduated, and they're all looking to start their own businesses. Some of them had already been established. What we are continuing to do from the St. Lucia Fashion Council, and now that I'm preparing for the selection of a candidate for Miss Universe, is we are going to partner and onboard at least 4 of those participants who excelled in the program to be part of the team that would put the wardrobe together for Miss St. Lucia going on to the international stage. So when I say it's ongoing, you don't sit back and say it's done. You continue to inspire, you continue to find the opportunities. It's all about, like we say, the youth economy. My thing is, how can I continue to help? How can I make a difference in somebody's life? Right. Sometimes you do it at the sacrifice, you sacrifice for it. But for me, the smiles, the joy, the knowing that somebody can do better. It's like Maya Angelou said, if you know better, then you do better. So I try to do that, as much as I can.
And being able to really carve out for people career paths.
Yes.
And that's so important. But Joyce, you made a startling point there for me that we're now looking to have these young budding designers, entrepreneurs to now design for the Miss Universe St. Lucia candidate. Now, that is such a departure. And why did you think that departure from the norm was so necessary? Because we would have looked to more established individuals or even perhaps purchase from an international, dress shop designer, so forth. So why that departure and why repose so much? I dare say you are reposing a whole lot of faith, confidence, and trust in the young budding designers. And whom I'm smiling, so we'll get a view after that.
Lisa, because I believe I know what my gifts are, I know where my talents lie, and what my purpose is, as I go through life. And having been around the beauty, fashion, and pageant industry, we may not realize how good we are we see ourselves as small island, and we complain about we don't have this and we don't have that. But I think if we look closer, you'd realize that there's so much more, and you can compete on the global stage. If you think back, if you remember, from 2004, I had started the Emerging Designers and Aspiring Designers competition. So I've always had that vision to work with emerging talents. What has happened, being part of the Miss Universe family, I do have the support and connections with other international brands and international designers who also are on the cards. But having gone through the Accelerator program and recognizing that we have such talent that needs cultivation, of course, we will work with, for example, Helena Isaac, who is a seasoned dressmaker designer. But a lot of those youngsters need some hand-holding and direction. And once you can provide that, you would be amazed at what that would come out of them. And I believe as a country, if we speak of youth empowerment, and if we're thinking of supporting, the economy and stuff like that, I believe persons like myself who have such platforms should be using those platforms to open doors and to make dreams come true.
Indeed, just listening to you speak, I think you saw some of that in the Accelerator program, given the direction they were given and the product, the end result that was showcased at the program. But I also think that it would augur well not only for our Miss Universe contestant, but like you said, our fashion designers, if it is well executed. And so in preparing for that, you did mention that they would be getting direction from seasoned designers as well. Mm-hmm. How many of the designers are we looking to get involved?
At present, I am in discussion with at least two. One has a mini factory, because there's the value chain to the production of garment production. And I don't think we have successfully explored the people on island who have the facilities. So as designers or dressmakers or tailors, we sit and we try to do everything, and we can't perfect that. So once we can begin to pull the various talents and services, we will emerge and have a product that we can showcase. And of course, the Miss St. Lucia, who is going to be our representative at the international showcase, becomes the muse and the model. So when you think of the taglines, the following, and all of that, it will reap the benefits for St. Lucia in more ways than one, in terms of the visibility, giving the young persons, the young designers, the opportunity to be known, to get their name out there. And more than that, in terms of our product line and offering, okay? I have always shared the view that we need in the fashion sector what I call a St. Lucian brand, okay? Or that product that when you see it, it's a garment, whether it's a wrap. I mean, it's been done, but what will make you stand out? Also, in competition, one of the things that stands out is your story. So that forms part of the St. Lucia story, and that delegate will be the one to tell the story, and the story won't just be I'm from St. Lucia, but I'm carrying St. Lucia throughout. Okay, so that's the thought process, and that's what we're aiming for.
And I think that's great, because not only, usually when you think of pageants and you think of fashion, you think of the glamour.
I like the word competition, really.
Competition.
I try not to use pageant because there's a misconception that it's just about beauty and stuff. So I think
exactly my point. But you're bringing across that in the background, it's not only about the glamour and the glitz and what you see on stage, but it's about the employment opportunities and the opportunities for development and growth as well.
Correct. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a little while, but it's, getting the support has been difficult. And I look at the COVID situation, the 2-year hiatus, and I saw that, I looked for the positives in it, and I felt it was an opportunity now, if we are going to come back and be part of the grand, the international community again, that perhaps it's a good time to bring all the the players together.
Because last year you were here, we were discussing the Accelerator program. It's just about to go have its big ceremony, but also we had discussed Fashion Fridays.
Yes.
And the whole concept really was to be able, as you said, to give a sort of recovery, a rebound for our people in the fashion because extending beyond the models and the thing, you have the jewelry makers and the dress makers, people, the accessories and so forth. So what was the traction like? Because people had to be posting, their wares.
Yeah. What was that like? It's still an uphill battle to get our people to understand the value and contribution they can make to actually pushing their own products. We need to develop, and often we had the national pride and feeling good that we are St. Lucian. We talk the talk, but sometimes we don't demonstrate, and I think it's important that our actions should demonstrate that. So it was a little rough. We did it for 3 months as a start. The consciousness, people started to get conscious, but the sort of traction that we wanted didn't quite push in that direction, but it is something that we're going to continue to repeat.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to it repeating until we are able to get to that point you speak about, Joycey, because it's really important because as you support the individual designers, whether it be for the accessories of the bags, shoes, the jewelry, even your hairstyles, you go to the hairdressers.
Yes, everybody.
So everybody really benefits. So it is something for us to do in order to get to that collective place.
Yes, I also wanted to add something, Lisa, to your question earlier about what got me to making that decision as well. In the international community, as you know, Fashion Week has also been, my stomping ground. I walked the runways and all of that. What has happened in the years of my international affiliation with the pageant community, there are designers all over the world who reach out to me and say, hey, I want to dress your girl. I want, can I do the evening gown or the, for preliminaries and finals and all of that. And unfortunately, in these spots, in our space, I don't get that from our local designers or dressmakers. Everybody, I know it's survival. I don't think they have seen the opportunity as one for them to market and to promote themselves. So what you find has happened in the past is you go to 1 or 2 designers to get them to make the dress, the costumes and stuff, which you have to pay for. Whereas in the international world, there are designers from the Philippines and all over, and the brilliant, excellent designers want to dress your girl. So it's something that I had to, review. And the accelerator program came on board, and I saw the level of talent and what could be done. I felt, hey, there's an opportunity to work with these young ones. And we speak of youth economy again, so here we go. But like I say, there's still some big names on the cards for us that, I would have to also consider, because they help move you as well in competition. Who are you wearing? And there's some big names that want to dress St. Lucia, and we may have to also consider that depending on how things go.
Yeah, I'm, maybe you've heard me whisper it many times that I'm hoping that one day watching any, international thing, and then they say, who you wearing? And somebody just says HD.
So, Mark, right?
I'm just.
I knew she was coming with this note,
I'm just waiting for that.
But she gets an opportunity too, huh? She's been doing her stuff.
Absolutely. So I'm just hoping for one of those days, right, HD? Yeah, don't worry, I'll carve another name there for you. You want another stage name? We'll talk about that afterwards.
We'll talk about a stage name.
We'll talk about that afterward. But Joycey, so Miss St. Lucia Universe. But let's talk about the Miss Universe pageant, because we had COVID. That seriously was a hamburg for the pageant world. And then now we have this looming, well, I say looming war, we say at that invasion stage right now. How do you see that affecting the world's interest in pageants? And we have the Miss Universe pageant that's due to come on later this year.
Well, Lisa, we take our direction from the organization. Of course, all of us, including me, I'm worried about the war and how it's going to impact us, if not today, but in the coming years. As it stands now, you begin to prepare and do the necessaries, because time has time. There are timelines that you have to meet. At the end of the day, if the MEO organization decides not to go in a particular direction, they advise us, and we have to follow suit on that. But it's a concern, and I know our directors have reached out to all of us and to see how best we can find, support Ukraine, because they too are part of the community. It's a war that, everyone has their own views on, but as they say, life goes on. It's prophecy, and it's a matter of trying to remain strong and to do what is necessary to survive and to see how best it comes to an end quickly. But other than that, we just have to wait and see, but you can't stop preparing. You have to do the necessaries to prepare and meet your deadlines.
And the COVID impact on its own, and we've said it throughout this morning and many times before, that the pageants is not just what the young representative on stage. This is not the end all of it. This is not what it is. There's such an extensive preparation period.
Yes.
And so many other players come involved, and it has its own economic ecosystem around it.
Yeah. It's a lifestyle change. It's a lifestyle change. It's an opportunity. When I do my interviews with young ladies, one of the first things, I ask them what they think it is. But I often say to them, it really is a job. Okay, and I expound, and we can go on into many directions with it. It's one of the reasons often I say I don't use the word pageant, but I use competition, because life is competition. You go to school, you're competing. You're competing to the next form, the highest grades and stuff. And if you take that approach to it, then, as I say to young women, do not deny yourself. Don't listen to what everybody else is saying. Come to the source. Come and understand, learn, ask all of your questions. But I find, what we've found is in some of our interviews, everybody has their preconceived ideas, or they speak to other people who know nothing, and they try to deter them and say, oh, I don't think you're ready. How do you know you're not ready? How do you know if you're ready or not if you don't come to hear what it's all about? So I try to not just encourage, but to teach, and for them to understand that life, you are competing for the next job. You are competing for, when you go to interviews just looking for a job here, you are competing, you're in school, that's what it is. So if you look at it that way, then your approach would be different, and you'd probably be more open to giving yourself a chance at becoming the next representative.
Well, oftentimes, and I'm sure Homer can bear me out on this herself, having, been in the pageantry as well, that, the public perception, do you believe that the public perception about pageants, it really affects the decision of prospects out there to participate in?
Yes.
And B, how does it impact how the sort of support that you receive, and I'm not just talking about financial support, institutional support, but the public support as well, in terms of interest, because you need to be interested in something, vote for the participants when you're asked to do so. And so in terms, again, just the public perception about pageants.
We're not a pageant state. We're not, again, like you say, the public view happens to be not, I don't want to say it's negative, because they are pageant lovers. What I have discovered, and being part of the pageant community from way back in terms of carnival, community carnivals, and the whole training, we have failed a lot of our young women. There are different pageant systems, and I believe, from my experiences, that we have not done a good job at selling even our national show. Everybody gets caught up in the glitz and glamour, but I don't think enough has been done to really educating the young women on the value of that they bring. I do the reverse, and perhaps it's because of my level of experience. I've always said to the young ladies who decide to compete that you are the show. You make the show. However, I do not subscribe to like begging somebody to be part of it. If I say to you, this is happening and you're interested, we're going to do the necessaries for you and to support you. Our system is different in that we do not do chaperones. And one of the things that I've found, and again from experience, a lot of the times, a lot of the confusion comes from persons who offer. They volunteer, they're chaperones, but they all have their perception of what should be, and it makes it very competitive, and sometimes it's not the best experience for the young lady who is actually vying for the title. So I think we need to change that. Our pageant system is different. We do not subscribe to chaperones, but we have as you would know, we have team members who provide support for different things. Ultimately, as national director, a lot of the weight falls on my shoulder, but in terms of the direction and what we do. We also engage our past winners. So it's a sisterhood. It's not about, like I say, competition. It's a job. So they share their experiences and they try to hold your hand as well. So I don't know. I think we probably need to do a whole, I don't know if it's rebranding of what pageantry should be, or perhaps a review of what the national systems, pageant systems that we use. When I think back at, let me go back a little into history. Back when it was like NCDC, which I was also involved back then, you had participation from the entire island. So you had contestants coming from each community or village or town. And so everybody was coming for that coveted title, just like Calypso. There were changes done, and then you had the CDF, and so some of the changes came about where it became more of what we call a castries show. So that national element came off. Yes, there are some villages and towns that did participate. So you have the Labris, the Choiselles, the Soufrères, but other communities just fell through the crack, or they were just having their own carnivals, and you're not graduating to that next level. And I'd like to see that change and come back to the possibility of doing that selection process throughout the island, which we do for under our Miss St. Lucia, Miss Universe brand. I go out to the various communities and set up, my table and, begin to encourage and have the discussion so they better understand what it is expected of them. So perhaps if we, took that approach, it may help change the perception of, how we see our young women. There's a seminar that we are planning. It's going to be part of this year's activities, which I've dubbed the value of one. And of course, it has many dimensions. Value of one, as in you. What's the difference you can make as one person? The value of each and every one that coming together. So I'm hoping that to encourage a lot of young women, it doesn't matter age, it's not restricted to age, to coming out when we put the information out, once it falls within the COVID numbers in terms of accommodating. Other than that, we may have to do part in person and virtual. We do have some international people who are going to sit in on that seminar talk. It's about young girls rock. How do we empower our young ladies? Too often we wait when they've gotten older, but I think it's important to start nurturing them from a very young age, not just for pageantry, but for life and for competition. And it's important for them to know their value, the value of one, my value. What do I bring?
So you know I have to go then, I'm tempted. You know, yes, don't look away, Homer, I'm coming to you. Because you, as I said, you participated, pageantry, you were attracted to that. What was your experience in that?
Just listen to Joycey speak, and I was going to ask her to, just speak on the developmental aspect of it, because that's one thing that I always speak on is the perception going into it, and people telling you pageants and what people will see, and what if you don't win? What if you don't win? But just being a part of it, you understand the biggest thing that you can take away is the lessons, the developmental opportunities, understanding who you are. I think a lot of that I did just through going through pageants and learning to take the corrections from, people who are trying to assist, learning not to take things too seriously before pageants. One of the things, I was a little bit of a control freak. I always wanted to get things right. I was very afraid of making mistakes. That stage taught me that's what life is about. It's okay to make mistakes. It's a part of life. So the developmental aspect is one reason I'd always tell somebody, if you do get an opportunity to take part in a pageant and it's one that's produced properly, go for it. Because the developmental aspect of it is something that is so important, I think, and it's helped me become the person that I am today. And one of the things that I try to do is to continue learning and to take the lessons, and I think that's where I learned it from. That's where I got that value from. And so I was about to ask Joycey about, the developmental opportunities for young people and using that as an approach to get them involved.
Okay, it's just so much. I have to stop to think of the angles that we look at. What's important for me when, in starting the whole thing is, it goes back to your story. And in our society, a lot of us are too afraid to tell our story. And some of us do have what we consider horrible stories. But sometimes those horrible stories need to be told, because in sharing, you may be creating not just opportunities, but helping somebody else heal. So we have on our team a gentleman who deals with helping to pull, what you may think is the ugliness, and to show you how best to use that to your advantage. So we have that sort of support there. We do the in-person, which is the beauty and fashion camp. All of that is part of it. It's easy to put makeup on. It's easy to, everybody, you're doing your Instagram and all of that. But until and unless you get comfortable with your story, you cannot project, and you won't, that confidence, as you know, confidence, that you become more confident when you become more knowledgeable. And it's all part of self-discovery and becoming self-aware. So we do that. It's one of the key things that we do to helping our candidates or the young ladies who sign up. And that's important for us before we can go to the next level.
Yeah, and I think that's a very key thing, Joycey. You say that, and I'm thinking that this is, and to Homer's point as well, it is an experience that helps you to be unapologetically you, and you wouldn't know how to be unapologetic in your own skin if you do not understand who you are.
Very true.
And while we are celebrating, International Women's Day and month, as women, we are scarred in so many different ways, and we manifest that pain in so many different ways that are so destructive to us. And at times, we're not even aware that we have some self-destruction going on. And sometimes, and I know, Joycey, through the years, you must have come upon, you see a diamond in the rough, But for some of them, some are very loud and boisterous, and they're ready to fight at any given time. They're looking to fight that they come, the next contestant for the simplest thing. There are others who are so withdrawn, so shy. So, I don't want to wear that. But there are so many deep-seated issues going on with the individuals. And not until you sit and you have a conversation, tears begin to flow. You have a breakthrough with that individual because they now, for the first time, beginning to acknowledge certain pains that they've experienced. And then you begin to see a different person emerge on stage. And it's usually the person perhaps who gives the most trouble, that when you see them on the night and you say, wow, you see a complete 360, a turnaround from someone. And now they can stand unapologetically in their own skin because they now understand who they are. So I value that thing Wilma spoke about, that developmental process, because it is so important. Otherwise, if pageants do not do that for the contestants, then it means we're failing in a sense.
And Lisa, I will say it unapologetically, we have failed. We have failed a lot of young women. But this is a new day, new dawn, and I think if we begin to see through, the lens of moving forward and coming together, because there's so many of us who operate in the sector, and put these things aside and focus on what is our objective. Are we looking to empower? And this is why our tagline from our, Miss St. Lucia, our Miss Universe St. Lucia brand is empowering women beyond beauty, because it's just so easy to put all of that on, but are we empowering self? Are we empowering that person? Can they handle losing? Because losing is part of winning, losing is part of success. And I mean, you can only do so much, it's the individual, but all of that comes into play. It's part of our branding. We have our pageant book. Our rules are everything in there. So when a young lady sits with us, she knows what to expect. And, it's easy, it's understood. Where we at, what we're doing, the sacrifices that we all have to make in order to go forward.
And so, because, and again, as part of the whole public perception, because the thinking is that pageants in a way denigrate women, and in this era you have women just on the stage in a panty and a bra or in a bikini, or you put them up there to be judged by the public.
But here's the problem with that. We're being hypocrites. I'll tell you why. We look at models. We have designers, swimsuit designers. We have designers who produce all types of things, scarves, what have you. She becomes a model for it. That's what you are. You're a model, and they're just looking for perhaps the best personality, the best body, or the person who can sell. That's all it is. So it goes back to education, understanding your purpose and why you're doing it, why you involve, what is expected of you. Our training also, the training that we offer is not restricted to just pageantry. If you want to be model-like, you can be part of the program. And being model-like is important just for for going to work, your job, understanding, fashion, styling, what makes you stand out, what colors, if you look at the color wheel, the color palette, what works for you may not work for me, the fads, the trends, the classic styles. So it's really an education, and we have, again, on our team and the international connections that I have, and being in the industry, we're coming together to do this value of one seminar and to get young people involved.
Yeah, and I don't know if Homer had that experience, but certainly too, just being able to learn etiquette is important.
That is part of the training.
And that's part of
that's part of the training. Dining, we actually do in person on our team. We do have somebody who does that for us, like I said, it's just preparing you for the business world. That's what it is. It's really preparing you for the business world. I've known people who have lost or as well as gotten a job just by sitting and having lunch with a potential employer, and the graces, the social graces was like, okay.
And knowing how to sit, how to, understanding the placement of the utensils and the use and so forth.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because when you go out there, I mean, when you go out, not just in the pageant world, but how many times have we been to like restaurants and just observing people watching, and then you see people who are able to do it and some who are not able to do it, and then we try to, have moments where we chat about it. But for me, it's still simple. Once you're able to hold your fork and eat, you don't necessarily have to know everything, because we're not all brought up in that environment. So I try not to knock people who may not know
but it's
how
important
to do it.
But it's important to teach, because in the pageant world, you will
go out. There's fine dining. There's you looked at.
So it's important for you to know so that you could think. But as they say, when in doubt, just start outside and. You'll be fine.
Remember Pretty Woman, the movie?
Absolutely.
You said it's okay. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And again,
if you know, you do better. Yeah.
Yes. But and in terms of knowledge, because it's how do you now work with the contestants on being able to brush up on world events? Is it important for the contestants to have that?
It's very important, very important. One of the things, again, even just when they call in, I encourage them to listen to the news, take notes, what's happening around you. It's amazing. Just yesterday I was speaking to a young man, because, we also work with some of them, and he asked a question. There's a particular young lady that he saw. He says, "Who's this young lady?" I said, "You should know who she is." And he was like, "No, I've seen her, but I don't know." I said, "She's part of the political landscape in St. Lucia. You should know who that person is." And I said, "You go online and start reading." And so a lot of them spend time on their phones and whatever, but they're not necessarily aware or paying attention to what's happening in their space. It's one of the things I try to encourage them to do. Just for you become a better conversationalist, if you know what's happening around you.
Yeah.
And like you say, world events, the global, a lot of the questions that are coming out from the interviews for Miss Universe especially, stems from what's happening in the world. And because it's all about making a difference, it's all about, like I said, it's a job. And if you emerge as the winner, you are brought into the organization and you will work with all the major charities, and you become the ambassador for a lot of world organizations.
And so tell us about the scouting process, because though everything is happening, but as you say, preparation continues. So talk to us about what that scouting process is like and how you're doing it this time around.
The scouting process is always ongoing, Lisa. I mean, I see, like you say, the diamonds in the rough all day. So we, of course, have our website. It's been up for the last 5 years or 5-6 years, which is missstlucia.org. And young ladies who are interested can go on to our page, go on to the Become a Delegate. There's the casting form. They enter their information there, and then we will reach out to them and set up our interviews. We do not do an audition like the normal, the national show where you have to come with. It's pretty easy. It's all about interviewing and getting a sense of who they are, what their interest is, and how best we can move forward. We're looking to do the selection and the coronation a lot differently this year. I'm not so sure if I really want to say anything about it yet, but trust me, it's going to be very different given the COVID situation, but impactful and educational at the same time. And so I'm going to hold on to this, and perhaps the next interview I will speak a little more about what that process will be.
Well, I'm good at holding people to the word, Joycey, so that's fine. Can I have her nominated, you know?
Oh yeah, I think actually a couple of years ago, I think she was still with the Wave, and I had gone. I went to the Wave for an interview, and I said, Emma, I think you would be an excellent candidate because you already have a platform, a voice on radio. And she was like, me, I don't want to do that. So there's still hope for her because the age limit is 28, and I don't think she's quite there yet.
Well, now she's here. She's under my tutelage.
Yeah. So there's still room for her. There's still room for her. There's still room for her.
Leave it to me.
Her voice is already amplified, so we just need to put certain things in context, and who knows? You never know.
Yeah, you just never know. It doesn't mean you'll get unfair advantage or anything.
No.
But just making that clear. Just making it clear.
Listen, our system, our selection system, and our judging system is such that even the audience have to cast their vote and make a decision. It's part of the decision-making process. Yeah. So it's not a panel of 3 and 4 people just sitting there. Once you've signed on, you're being judged. So it's an experience until the decision is made for coronation.
Great.
So it's not on this. The selection is not just this one night and one day and tallying points. That's not what it is. It's a lifestyle change, and it's something that you have to embody and be part of over a period of so many months.
Now, I know that over the years we've seen a lot of changes within internationally to the pageant in terms of trying to make it more all-inclusive. You've seen this as being positive. What has been your thoughts on the sort of different, even in some of the rules have changed as well? How does that work out in terms of the inclusivity of it all and making more women, to have more women avail themselves of the opportunity?
Okay, it's discussions we've had, even at MEO level. Okay, there's several pageants. Let me just go back a little. There's several pageants throughout the world, and there's always been the thought that Miss Universe should be all female and, as we say it, born female. We have seen changes, being made with transgender and all of that. In 2018, we had the first from Spain, and she walked and she told her story. I would prefer the old model, but it's not a decision for me to make. I think there are pageants suited for, transgender. You have. So from an inclusive point, as far as I'm concerned, just being able to do it and to create their own branding and stuff, they're still part of the community. But it's not my call. In our agreements, it says female, but they do make provisions for medically proven otherwise. And so people are people. So for me, it's, like I said, it's competition, it's life. You don't, get bogged down with whether or not what they do. You have to focus on you and what you want and how you're going to move forward, because we're all competing in the same world.
In terms of even for people assigned as female at birth, I think that's the appropriate thing now to say. But for them, in terms of height, have we seen that change along the way? Because it used to be that you needed to look a particular way in order for you to be able to take the stage.
5'7" and up. No, that has changed. Remember, like I said, you're looking for the best person for the job, and you're looking for diversity. You're looking for, everybody has a story to tell, and it's the compelling story and who can do what. So there's no restriction to height. Now we have 7-inch heels, so you can be 5'5" and you wear 7-inch heels. You know what I mean? So you're just as tall as everybody else. It all goes back to your craft, how well you can walk and do the necessary, poise, and so it's all inclusive.
Yeah.
The world has changed. Yeah.
So now, Joyce, I know it's we sit here and we talk about the development aspects and so forth, but for these young ladies and because you are traveling to wherever it's being held, and we've had some pretty exotic destinations for Miss Universe over the years. How do you prepare the contestants for the sort of culture shock, because you go into certain areas, countries, and totally different to what you accustomed to in our beautiful tropical isle. So how being in that competition space, how does that impact the contestants, and how do you prepare them for that?
Okay. I just need to think for a little. What happens, Lisa, once you have identified your delegate and you travel, she's handed over to the organization's security team and the MUO organization, so they looked after. There are certain freedoms that are not allowed, so they are in a controlled space. They just like if you're having heads of state conferences. So their floor is cut off. You're not allowed to go. They like VIPs. They like, not like, they become, because the risk, you have FBI, it's really, how do I say it? Controlled. It's really they're in a controlled environment.
Secured.
And of course, there are planned activities. So you have tours, you have different things that are set. There are sponsors who wish to meet with certain countries, and so they would call out the delegates and stuff. And they become part of, like I said, the MUO environment. So the charities that are supported, they get out to do different things like that, whether it's cooking for underprivileged and that sort of a thing. So it's a lot of fun. They do have a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work. It's the discipline. But we also get information beforehand, before going. So we're able to appraise our contestant of what to expect, how they conduct themselves, and all the rules and guidelines are provided long before we get to the destination.
All right. And so in our remaining minutes, I want you to just go back a bit. Let's talk about, again, Miss St. Lucia, the process. What are you looking for? How individuals can participate? Okay.
We're just looking for any young lady who wants to grow, to make a difference for herself, her community, her country. Do not second guess yourself. Ask the questions. You can go on our website, which is www.missstlucia.org, and go on to the Become a Delegate page. You can scroll down to the casting, and you put your information in there, upload your photo, and then someone will get in touch with you, and we will advise when the interviews will be happening, and then we start the process. The deadline for registering is March 31st, and we move on to interviews, and the show begins, the whole planning and moving forward, and then we let everybody know who's in the running for the position of becoming the next Miss St. Lucia.
Yeah, and so much goes into the making of Miss St. Lucia. We'll be happy to have you back for us to have more of these wonderful conversations, Joyce. And we're looking forward to it. And Homer is over there. Can't really, she has an expression beneath the mask, but I know her so well now. I know exactly what that expression is about.
Let me just say, it's empowering women. If we talk about, we talk about inequality and all of that. So these are the platforms that are available to us as women, and we need to make the most of it. We support the guys in their sporting disciplines and all of that. So we need to support our own, and these are some of the platforms available to us. So come come on out.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Joycey. And of course, in doing so, we are truly being able to contribute to, the sort of emerging youth economy and so forth.
Yes,
being able
yeah.
to get that avenue and platform out there. Joycey Medrick?
It's like youth supporting youth. That's important, yeah.
Yes, but the beautiful thing about the youth economy is that everyone comes in and supports the youth. I love that. So, just throwing that in there.
It is. I mean, Lisa, just before we go, this benefits the country. I mean, when you think of the level of support that we have given from a tourism standpoint, our tourism dollar, for lots of other persons coming in, why not invest it in our own going out? You have programs that have come in, and we've done the Bachelor. There's so many initiatives that I know we have supported as a nation. We need to now invest and support our own people in selling our country,
propelling ourselves. Agreed to that. Joycey Medrick, we want to say thank you so much for and of course, the many different hats that Joycey wears. Let me see, President of the Fashion Council. We're also doing Cinnamon Productions, as well as a director, Island Hunk, director for the Miss St. Lucia, which is responsible for the Miss St. Lucia Universe pageant. So thank you so much for stopping by. The conversation about Homer DeMarc is continuing after the cameras have stopped rolling. Mr. Joseph will be seeing you next time.